Today's learning target is I can use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of rational numbers to solve real-world problems and interpret their solutions. So I can use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of rational numbers to solve real-world problems and interpret their solutions. Now, the first thing is decide whether you want your values to be in fraction form or decimal form. Be sure to convert any numbers that are not in that form. And then you need to remember your integer rules. Those are the three most important things in this. If you are adding or subtracting fractions, you need to find your common denominator. If you are adding or subtracting decimals, you need to line up your decimals. If you are multiplying fractions, you need to cross simplify and then multiply straight across. Okay, remember those things. If you are multiplying decimals, line up your numbers on the right, multiply as you normally would, then count the number of digits after the decimals in both values. Move your decimal point that number of places in the answer. All right. If you are dividing fractions, remember the I Love Lucy video. Remember Lucy met Ricky and turned his world upside down. You flip the second fraction, you cross simplify and multiply straight across. If you're dividing decimals, move any decimal out of the divisor. You move the decimal that number of places in the dividend, and then you move the decimal point straight up into the quotient and divide as you normally would. That's just a little list of reminders so that you can remember how to do all of those different operations with decimals and fractions. Now, Antoine's car loan is automatically deducting $150 from his bank account every month. How much will the deductions total for the year? So we have to ask ourselves what we have to do with that. First clue is that they are deducting $150 from his bank account every month. So we have to ask ourselves, what does that mean if they're deducting? That means that $150 is negative. And every month, so how many months are there in a year? Well, there's 12 months. So we know that we are multiplying negative 150 times 12. So if we multiply 150 times 12, 0 times 2 is 0. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Put our space saver. And then 0 times 1 is 0. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. And then we add, and we get 1,800. But remember that a negative times a positive will give me a negative. So negative $1,800. Now we have to interpret that in the context of the problem. So we're going to say that the total deductions for the year will be negative $1,800. Mr. Rogers lost money on his investments at a rate of $9 per day. What is the change in his investments at the end of the week? So if he lost money, we know that's a negative 9. And there are 7 days in a week. So negative 9 times 7. Negative times positive gives me negative. 9 times 7 is 63. So negative $63. And if I interpret that in the context of the problem, the change in Mr. Rogers' investment is negative $63 that week. The highest recorded temperature on Earth is 134 degrees Fahrenheit. The lowest temperature is negative 128 degrees Fahrenheit. What is the difference? I'm telling you, I'm not going to either place, but we'll find the difference. 134. Difference means what are we doing? We're subtracting when we find the difference. Minus negative 128.6. So what does that mean that we're going to do? We are going to go keep, change, change. Remember the lady with the scary face? Keep, change, change. So what we're actually doing is we are adding. So 134 plus 128.6. And remember, when we are adding decimals, we have to line up our decimals. So 128.6. So I have my 6. 4 plus 8 is 12. And 3 plus 2 plus the carried 1 is 6. And then 1 and 1 is 2. So I've got 262.6 degrees Fahrenheit. And if I interpret that in the context of the problem, the difference between the high and the low is 262.6 degrees Fahrenheit. The next problem is actually kind of fun, but we're going to write down all the steps in order to do it a whole lot easier. Kayla gets on the elevator at the ground floor. Ground floor is represented by 0. Then she goes down 2 floors. Down would be a negative number. Down 2. Plus up 5 floors. And then she goes down 1 floor. And then she goes up 3 floors. And then she goes down 5 floors. And then up 6 floors. What floor is she on? Well, what we can do with this problem is we can look at our opposites, because we know that when you have a negative and a positive and they combine, remember, they go kaboom and they disappear. So if we have a 5 and a negative 5, those go kaboom and they disappear. So we have 5 and negative 5, so that disappears. Well, if I look, I have -2 and -1. That makes -3. And remember that if I have -3 plus 3, right, those disappear. So I'm going to go 3 plus -3, that disappears. So what do I have left? I just have 0 plus 6 now. What does that give me? Well, that just gives me 6. So what can I guess? What can I gather from that? Not guess. I know that Kayla is on floor 6.